Good morning, grade 7s, and welcome to part 2 of lesson 1. In the previous lesson, we spoke about the basics of fractions as well as the different types of fractions. In this lesson, we are going to be talking about converting between improper fractions and mixed numbers. So if you have a look at your notes, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to convert from an improper fraction to a mixed number. Now I'm going to first read through the steps and then we'll work through the examples on the next page. So step 1 says, count how many times the denominator can go into the numerator. Step 2, remember that when we write one whole as a common fraction, the numerator and the denominator must always be the same. So for example, another way of writing one whole is by saying 2 over 2, or 3 over 3, or 6 over 6, or 10 over 10. Whenever you have a numerator and denominator that are the same number, it is equal to one whole. Then we go on here, it says step 3, split up your improper fractions into whole numbers and leftover fractions. Step 4, rewrite your whole number fractions as whole numbers. You'll understand what I mean by that just now. And step 5, write all of the whole numbers together and combine them with the proper fraction to form a mixed number. So if we look at the next page, I'm just going to block off, let me just tear the page here. Okay, so if we look at the first one, we've got 5 over 4. Now the first step said we say how many times does the denominator go into the numerator. In other words, 4 goes into 5 once. Obviously there's a remainder, but it goes in one full time. Now the way we write a whole number, remember I said numerator and denominator must be the same. Because we have a 4 in the denominator, we need to keep that 4 all the way through. So we can write one whole as 4 over 4. Then we add it to the remainder. If 4 goes into 5 one time, there's a remainder of 1. The next step says we change 4 over 4 to a whole number. So we know it's equal to 1. Then the plus a quarter stays there. The last step says we push everything back together. So our final answer is 1 1/4. Moving on to the second example, we now have a numerator of 30 and a denominator of 7. Again, we're going to repeat the same steps. So the denominator of 7 goes into the numerator of 30. You need to count in sevens. So it's 7, 14, 21, 28, 35 is too much. So we know it goes in 4 times. That's why I rewrote this 4 times. It's 4 whole numbers. And our leftover is then 2 over 7. Because 7 goes into 34 times, which is 28, but we have 30. So it's a remainder of 2. Second step, we change those back to whole numbers. That's exactly what I did with the remainder. The third step said we add all the whole numbers together. So 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 4. Still with my remainder. Last step, squash them back together. Now you'll see I've left open example 3 and 4. So quickly pause this video, work it out on your own, and then unpause when you are ready to see the answer. Okay, let's go through the answers. So question 3. 5 goes into 44. How many times? It goes in 8 times. So there I've got my 8 whole numbers plus my remainder, which is 4 over 5. Rewrite those as whole numbers. I skipped a step. I just wrote it as the whole number together. So I skipped that step. Squash them back together. We have 8 4/5. Then example 4. 9 goes into 80. Again, I skipped the first 2 steps. It's fine if you do that, but make sure you're doing it correctly. So 9 goes into 80 8 times, and there's a remainder of 8 over 9. Squash them back together, and we have 8 8/9. So that's how we convert from an improper fraction to a mixed number. Now going on to the questions at the bottom, is converting from a mixed number to an improper fraction. So we're doing the same thing but in reverse. So step 1, we need to find our numerator, and in order to find our numerator, we're going to multiply the whole number with the denominator and add the numerator to your answer. In other words, if I have my whole number, I've got my numerator and I've got my denominator. That's the standard form of a mixed number. To find my numerator, if we're changing this to an improper fraction, I'm going to multiply my whole number with my denominator. Once I've got that answer, I'm going to add it to the numerator. And whatever that number is, that's what your numerator will be. Then it says the denominator will stay the same as the improper fraction. So for example, if our beginning fraction, the denominator was 4, we would still have 4 as our denominator, depending on what the original whole, or the mixed number denominator was. So if we look at the first example, I've done it for you, 2 1/3. So to find our numerator, we're going to say 2, the whole number, times my denominator, which is 3. So 2 times 3 is 6. We add the numerator, 6 plus 1 is 7. There's my numerator. Now it says the denominator stays the same. I started with a 3, I need to end with a 3, and that is your final answer. We converted from a mixed number to an improper fraction. Moving on to the second one, again it's been done for you. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 4 is 29. My denominator is 5, it stays the same. Now once again, I'm going to ask you to pause this video, work out number 3 and 4's answer, and play the video when you are ready. Alright, let's have a look at the answers to number 3 and 4. So I said 3 times 6 is 18, plus 1 is 19, so my numerator is 19. Denominator doesn't change, so it's 19 over 6. Number 4, 10 times 10 is 100, plus 8 is 108 over 10, because denominators don't change. And that's how we convert from a mixed number to an improper fraction. In the next lesson, we will continue with the fractions section.